So here we go with the Edexcel Foundation GCSE Maths paper. It's from November 2018 and it's paper 1, so put your calculators away. As always on the first page, don't take things too lightly. Don't lose any easy marks. Question 1. Writing in order. If you're not great with decimals, always think about cash. Looking at that list, as you can see, that amount is 2p. So that's the smallest. And then we've got this bit, just over 15p. This one, that's 20p. 37p. And 40p. Job done. To go from a decimal to a percentage, don't forget the technique, times by 100. If you move decimal points twice, fair enough. But 60%. Factors of 10. If you want to list them, don't forget, always list factors in pairs like so, and the only number from there that's in the list is the 5. Next one, rounding off to the nearest thousand. The 7 is in the thousands column. It's an 8 we have after it, which means we must round up. We're getting 8,000. On we go. So, number work, bit of bit maths, bit of indices. Don't forget multiplication comes first. So it's 15 plus 7, 22. 2 cubed means times it by itself and again, giving you 8. Where do we need the brackets? We would need to make that 7 times 5 to make 35. On we go. Bit wordy, but not the worst. Sue with her 2 cats, each cat quarter of a tin a day. So that means 2 quarters per day, or in other words, half a can per day. And for 14 days, it means 14 halved, she would require 7 cans are required. Well, tin, sorry, she's got 8. Has Sue bought enough cat food? Yes. And again, like all videos, if you want to be a bit more watertight, go for that 1 spare tin. Pictograms. I always like to write on mine 4 trees, so that's 4 plus 4 plus 4. Usually this information is required. Best to work it out before you start reading all the waffle. 4 and 2 means 6. So top line tells you nothing. Second line tells you it's a pictogram, but you knew that anyway. Total of 30. There's the key. You need to fill in plum. Well, the 3 we've worked out so far add up to 23. We need to add 7 trees into the pictogram. So a big square is 4, and 3 parts of a square, 3 quarters, and there we go, to give us the 7 we require. Number 8, for some coordinates, pretty standard fare here. Coordinates of point A, so from the origin it's left 2, down 1. Mark the coordinate 2 along, 3 up, so 2 to the right, 3 up. Mark it with the letter B. On the grid, draw the line with the equation x equals -4. Do not forget an alternative name for the x-axis, for the y-axis, is x equals 0. So any lines which are x equals a number are vertical lines through that number. So nothing more than a vertical line going through -4. And obviously for horizontals, the x-axis is y equals 0. So anything like y equals 2, that would be a horizontal line through 2. On we go, bit of substitution, which really means bit of BIDMAS as well. 2 lots of G is 2 times 9, because multiplication comes before addition. And 3 times H, again, multiplication comes first, giving us the answer of 30. So, number 10, if you don't spot it, you could just jot down your prime numbers and see what happens, 2, 3, and so on. But 2 is not going to help you because 2 and the rest are all odd. So you can reject 2, write your list, you'll find there's 2 possibilities. There's 3 and 29, that works for a mark, and there's 13 and 19. That also works for a mark, either or pairs. Equivalent fractions, so just have a quick scan. Start from the left, start from the right, it's entirely your choice. But hopefully you'll notice that the 10/16, if you halve the top and halve the bottom, it's that one. That does not equal 3/4. Adding 2 fractions, they've made it nice because the 6 goes into 12 and we only need to double everything. 1 and 10 of something means you have 11 of that something. Number 12. So straight line graphs. Now the fixed charge is that number there, which means the price before any time or distance or whatever has elapsed. So it will cost you £10 just to deliver, even if it's on the doorstep, 0 miles. So Tom takes delivery of 2 bricks 20 miles apart. Now, as you might see on my work solutions, I drew lines at 20 and 40 because they're 20 miles apart. And that's at 40 and that's at 70. So for the difference between those 2 delivery costs is £30. Okay, you could have picked any 2. As you move it up, it's linear, so the relationship will stay the same. So any 2 distances selected will still give you 30. So again, with these questions, they don't give you many information. It's happened on a few papers I've done recently. Feel free to call unknowns X, but when everything's in proportion, in a ratio, you can just pick a number. Asimov scores 4 times Ryan, so whatever Ryan gets, Asimov gets 4 times as much. Kim's is half. And obviously they don't have to be the numbers, but they're in proportion. If you'd have picked another number, your final answer would have cancelled down or whatever. It would still be correct. But by picking number 1, it doesn't cancel. It doesn't get any simpler than that. Number 14, like all my angles questions, I'm not going to make you sit here while I struggle with electronic pens to write out every sentence. I'll simply talk through them each stage. So firstly, angle BCD, that's 50. Because opposite angles are equal. Then you've got this angle here. They're on a straight line. Angles on a straight line make 180. And now you've got angles in a quadrilateral. They're saying it's a kite, but for now we call it the quadrilateral. You know 3 of the angles, 4 of the angles should mean it adds up to 360. So if you subtract 50, 105 and 100 from 360, guess what? You get 105. So we've got opposite angles here being equal. We've got adjacent sides being equal. that would mean that these are also equal. If you want to go into that, feel free. But ultimately, the main thing about a kite, it's got that line of symmetry running through the middle. So that's what tells us we have a kite. On to the next one, number 15. So again, overly complicated, very wordy. Don't let it get you. All right, organize your thoughts. Orange juice, 5 parts. Lemonade, 2 parts. Feel free to keep it as a ratio. Thinks he has 300 mils. So that is a multiplier of 60. Now, lemonade got 200. That's a multiplier of 100. So has much more lemonade in proportion than he does of the orange juice. And so we can't use that much. We're limited. We're going to run out of orange juice, so we have to stick with multiplying it by 60, which means he'll actually use 120 mils of lemonade. If he's correct, what's the greatest amount? 300 plus 120, 420 mils. Shahid has 300 mils of orange juice, but only 160 mils of lemonade. So he's got slightly less lemonade. Does this affect the greatest amount? Well, it's a no. All right, it's a no. It doesn't matter he's got slightly less lemonade because he only needs 120 mils of lemonade. If he wanted to make more, he needs more orange juice, is another way of going about it. Number 16. So, what makes things similar? Similar things means they would have the same scale factor. So going from 8 to 12, that's increased by a half. 6 times 1.5. Add on half, you'd actually get 9. So is Jim correct? Nope. All right. The fact is, there are different scale factors. Other phrases are perfectly acceptable. Number 17, nice frequency tree, but as always with wordy questions, one step at a time. And if you're given some new information, ask yourself, is there anything else I can add in or work out? So you're told there's 80, but that's filled in for you. 48 are women. 80 take away 48 gives us 32 in there. 61 of these people like coffee. So these two bubbles add up to make 61. 8 of the men do not like coffee. So men don't like coffee. 8. So we can use the 8. 32 minus it, 24. And we can now take that information over here. 61, take away 24, 37. And we can go a stage further. 48 minus 37 gives us 11 women who do not like coffee. So, one of the people who likes coffee, there's only 67 of them. Sorry, 61. It needs to be out of 61. Find the probability that this person is a woman. So, women likes coffee, 37 out of 61, not 80. Number 18. Another wordy, typical Best Buy scenario. Do one thing at a time. Do the old. There we go. Let's look at the Food Mart. 20% off the normal price. Well, 10% divide by 10, 50p. So 20% is going to be £1. It's reduced. So that means the 400 grams is going to cost you 5 minus 1, £4. Now that might be a good comparison. We'll see what happens with Jan's store. So Jan's store, the price is not being affected. It's the amount you get. So 10% divide by 10, 30%, get it trebled, 120. So that £5 is buying you 520 grams. So not really a straightforward comparison here. So over on the Food Mart, let's divide everything by 4, because then we can see what our £1 buys us. On Jan's store, divide by 5. 500 divided by 5 is 100. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So as you can see, for your pound, you get slightly more in Jan's store. Which box of cereal is best value for money? And you've got the correct numbers. Whoops, that's rubbish. You've got the correct numbers which the examiner wants to see. Obviously, you could have gone for how much does 100 grams cost, but I think numbers just get a little bit more tricky on that one. Number 19, obviously in an exam you could get out the tracing paper, but I'll do this one by counting. So the centre is 1 along, 0 up. It's a 180. So when you rotate, ups become downs, left becomes right. That's what happened with a 180. So I'm going to use this coordinate there. That's left 3, up 3. We need to go right 3, down 3. It would end there. Let's get this line in, because I think if I get that line, I think I'll be able to fill the rest in. So that is left 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 5. So right 3, down 5. So I think I'm good enough now. That line goes in there. A movement across to the left, because that's going over there, becomes a movement to the right. A movement down becomes a movement up. Do use a ruler for that. I'm just rubbish with technology, and it was getting a bit fiddly when I tried it before. Number 20. Whenever you've got a fraction like that, work out the top and the bottom separately. So on the top it's multiply, so you add the powers. 7 added to negative 3 is 5. Now you've got over. Over means divide. That means subtract the powers. We have 3 squared. 3 times 3, in other words, 9 for the final answer. Number 21, bit more substitution. Had some already, but we've got a bit more tricky negatives getting involved. Don't forget BIDMAS. So v squared equals. We've got u squared, so that will be 144 added to negative 3, 3 18s, doubled, 108. Two signs adjacent, if the signs are different, can be replaced with a negative, giving us 36. And so that's v squared, don't forget. So we're going to square root 36, and we get the 6. Part B, make the subject, that means rearrange, that means do inverse operations, do the opposite. If you want to make S the subject, get rid of everything else. So first job, I'll take away u squared from both sides. 2as means 2a times by s. Inverse of that is divide. So to get S on its own, you divide by 2a. You divide both sides by 2a. I'm sure you've seen that equation before in a science lesson. So we have a very wordy question for number 22. Keep it simple, one line at a time for all these questions. So here we go. So bonus is shared between 10 people. 40% goes to the managers. So let's look at the managers. 10% is 210. So 40% multiplied by 4, and it's shared equally. So we need to bus stop it or mental arithmetic. 3's into 8 is 2 remainder 2. 8 3's are 24. So each manager is getting £280. There we go. Now we look at the 7 salesmen. They get the rest. So £2,100 minus the 840. Or you could go through the routine of finding 60% and go from there. But you should get £1,260, and that's shared equally between the salesmen. So 1, 5, 7, 8 to 56. So £180 is what it's, oh dear, £180 is what a salesman gets. So one of them says if the bonus is shared equally between all 10. So if the bonus shared equally between all 10, they would get £210 each. So if the bonus is shared equally, the salesman says he'll get 25% more money. So is 180, 25% a quarter. So if we halve it and halve it again, it's £45. That means he is saying, 25% more money. He is saying he will get more. Well, as you can see, if they share it equally, they get £210. That's not as much as £225. So it's a no. All right, it's 210 if shared equally. It's 225 if he gets the plus 25%. So this salesman is wrong. Complex question, that one. Not the friendliest. Although this one is. So 120 minutes, if you've got 5 taps working for 120 minutes, that's 600 minutes of work being done in total. Well, if there's 3 working, only 3, they'll need to work for 200 minutes. State an assumption. We're assuming all the taps work at the same rate. That's the information we do not know. On to this one. So 24, a plane travels at a speed. So you've got speed 213 miles in 1 hour. 1 hour is really 3,600 seconds. 60 minutes in an hour, 60 seconds in a minute. It wants us in seconds, so best to get into seconds as soon as possible. And it's a non-calc paper, so obviously 213 is a rotten number. Let's go for 200. If I want to go from 200 miles to 1 mile, I would divide both sides by 200. Or in other words, 36 divided by 2 for 18 seconds. Now, depending on how you've rounded off, the mark scheme allows anywhere from 16 to 20 inclusive. So is it an overestimate or an underestimate? So as you can see, we rounded the speed down. So let's give the reason first. So if the speed was rounded down, if this number was actually 213, we would be dividing by a larger number, which would make this number closer to like 17 or 16 even. Speed was rounded down, so it is definitely, I've run out of room, but you know what I mean, it's an overestimate. Simultaneous equations. I always call the top one 1, the bottom one 2. You could make the x's the same by multiplying by 5. I prefer to keep things smaller. I'm going to take the top equation and multiply it by 3. So 15x plus 3y is 63. Second equation, just leave it alone. X minus 3y equals 9. So we're looking at the y's. The signs are different. This is an add. The y's disappear. So we need to divide by 16. That's not friendly without a calculator, so let's have a think. 72 divided by 16. They are both in the 8 times table. 9 8s are 72. 2 8s are 16. So there we go. An unusual answer for the non-calc paper, but it is what it is. 4.5. Then let's take the top equation. Could take the bottom, doesn't matter. I'll take the top equation. 5x's, so 5 lots of this. Well, 5 4s are 20. Times 0.5 is 2.5. So 22.5 and a y equals 21. Just a bit of common sense here. How do you add a number and it goes down? It's a minus. How much has it gone down by? 1.5. Not the friendliest simultaneous equations. Speaking of not the friendliest, number 26. So lots of waffle, but it's all about area. So area of the square is the first thing. It's a 20 by 20 square. It's 400. Now, how do we find the area of the shaded? Well, let's look for the area of the quarter circle first. Let's ignore the cutout. It's pi. The radius is 20. That's the distance from the centre of it to the circumference. So it's 20 squared, which we actually already know is 400, but it's a quarter circle. 20 squared is 400 divided by 4, that's 100, with a pi on the end. Now let's look at the semicircle. Now the semicircle has a radius of 10. So it's pi times the radius squared, but this time it's a semicircle. It's halved. 10 squared is 100, halved makes 50. Well, that's worked out quite nice. So the area of the shaded bit is the quarter circle, take away the half circle, the smaller bit. It's leaving us with 50 pi. So remember that 400, because it wants us to say area of shaded region, which is 50 pi, over the area of the square. That's 400. They cancel. The pi goes nowhere. And 5 over 40, divide top and bottom by 5, you get 1 over 8. So not a friendly pair of questions back to back, those two. But don't give up. Just try some areas and go from there. But we now ease off with a nice probability tree question. We like these. So 3/10 on that branch, 7/10 on that, 5/9, 4/9, 5/9, 4/9. Easy peasy. Work out the probability of 2 red balls. That's red, red. It's multiply to get that. So it's 3 over 10 multiplied by 5 over 9. Top times top, bottom times bottom. Doesn't say cancel it down. If you have done, it's a sixth. But there you go. So a weird one here, if you're not given a diagram for a shape question, sometimes a diagram helps. So that's the internal angle. That's external. Internal is 11 times bigger. And the internal angle of a polygon, external angle of a polygon, adds together to make a straight line. In other words, x is 15. What does that mean? Well, another fact about exterior angles on a regular polygon is 360 divided by the angle gives you the number of sides. Now, you might not know it offhand. Get it bus stopped. 15 into 36 is 2, remainder 6. 15, 30, 45, 60. Bosh, 24 sides. All right, a very worthwhile topic to get used to, because when you know how, they're not that bad. But anyway, hope that helped. See you on the next paper.